So you just booted up this game called Sonic.exe The Disaster. You get on a loading screen and there's a bunch of characters to choose from and you have no idea what to do. Well, this guide is here to help you. Let's get right into things. The first thing that you gotta worry about in this game is characters and classes. So currently there are 8 characters in the game. This includes the original 3 boys, the 3 girls from round 2, and Rouge and Shadow, basically Team Dark, but that's not important. The thing you have to worry about is these different characters and classes and what they do specifically for the team. So the first class we have to talk about is Mobility. What does Mobility do? Mobility is a class that means you can quickly get around the map using some sort of ability. This is shown in Shadow's Dash, Eggman's Jetpack Boost, Cream's Speed Boost, and Tails' Glide. Having these abilities means you'll be able to get around the map quickly and even to some spots that are unreachable otherwise. You can quickly get away from Sonic.exe or help revive teammates quickly and get back out to avoid suffering a hit or being chased. Next we move on to the Stunners, who are more so the opposite of the Mobility characters, running up to Sonic and giving him a quick stun. The characters who use this consist of Amy with her hammer attack, as well in some cases her hammer throw, but we'll get into that in a second, Knuckles punch, and Eggman's shock ability. Stuns temporarily immobilize Sonic.exe and keep him from chasing you, as well as granting a quick speed boost if you do this within the vicinity of teammates. This allows characters to slow Sonic.exe down, as well as keep teammates safe for a short bit so that they can quickly get away. Similarly to the Stunner class, there's the Range Stunners. The ranged stunners are able to hit Sonic.exe with a stun from a good distance. This includes Tails' arm cannon and Amy's hammer throw. These do the same thing as a stun, but being able to do it from a distance, meaning usually they're not as good up close, but they do hit well from afar. The next class is Defense. Defense means that a character is able to protect themselves or others in some sort of way. This includes Knuckles and Shadow's block ability, as well as Sally's shield. In Sally's shield's case, it protects teammates from a hit and can be given to them, but with Knuckles and Shadow's block, it propels Sonic.exe back and protects them from taking a hit. Next is the Support class. Sally is the only support class in the game, but this is due to the fact that she can give shields to others, and you've already heard about that. A support class basically just helps others in some way or another, but basically every class does that. Sally just can do it in a unique way. The healer class is something that's specific to Cream only, and Cream is able to heal others using her heal ability and is generally known as the team medic. You will see no one else with this heal ability or any other sort of heal ability, so she is the sole healer class in this game and is the team's source of refunding HP. Lastly, we have Recon and Stealth. The reason I put these together is that they belong to one character, and that's Rouge. Recon comes from Rouge's sensors, which allow her to pick up on Sonic.exe and reveal him to the team. The stealth aspect comes in when he's detected that she cannot be found herself, so I just decided to put these together, and as you can see, that's how Recon and Stealth works. With all the classes quickly explained, you have a bit of an understanding about how these different roles work, but how should they be used as a team? Each class has its own certain role in a team, obviously. Ranged stunners can actually save people in some very clutch scenarios. Regular stunners can do the same, but they gotta be up close. Defense characters can protect teammates, but they also have to ensure that they get the timing right so they don't actually take a hit. Mobility characters are good at getting away or getting to teammates, which is pretty helpful but must be used correctly, and Sonic.exe is almost always faster. Support obviously just shows in Sally, but it is the team help overall, and Recon and Stealth are ways to reveal Sonic.exe's location. Generally, the teams really just vary. There's no specific way that a team should be played. Overall though, if I did have to recommend, I would say keeping at least one Tails on your team, but this is probably almost always going to happen. Tails is the first character on the selection screen, meaning that he is almost always a pick when it comes to a team. The reason I recommend Tails is that he can quickly get away, and he also has the ability to stun from far. Moving on from beginner recommendations though, let's get into what I think you should have on a squad. You should probably have at least 2 stunners on a 6-man squad. Obviously squads are going to vary, and based off how your team is, it's going to be down to you. Overall, I think someone like Eggman or Amy is good at defending themselves, while also being able to defend others in that same aspect. If you have a lower count squad, I would recommend going with one of the stunners, as they will probably be able to keep you alive as well as help others in case there are a few people. Now, Cream being the only healer in the game makes her pretty much essential to any squad. You should almost always have a healer, aka Cream, as she is able to keep herself alive well with the speed boost as well as heal others, but she cannot heal herself. This can make Cream one of the most targeted characters in the game though if you're not careful, and it's important that you use your stunners to keep her safe, or someone such as Sally, you know, a character with a defense ability to help keep her safe. Cream's survival is essential as her revive takes time, a lot of time actually, to help heal others that can possibly help them prevent getting down on a hit from Sonic.exe, or to just help them stay alive from the minions. Some characters you may be wondering about is Shadow or Rouge. Both of these characters seem to be just different. Shadow is more aimed towards solo survival in my opinion, as his mobility dash makes him only really good for quickly dashing to revive people and getting away, or just getting away in general, and his block probably isn't going to protect people in too many scenarios as the timing has to be very accurate. Rouge's abilities only really come in useful though if you have a large squad, and I would not recommend playing with her if you don't have over 5 people, and I would really probably only recommend her for a 6-man squad. So, how many of each class do I recommend per team? In terms of stunners, I would recommend having at least 2 to 3 on a team. If stunners actually work together and hit their stuns well, they can keep Sonic.exe busy for a long time, and trust me, there will be a lot of people to rage quit because of this. In terms of having a healer, I would almost always recommend that someone takes Cream. If you see that a squad's full and doesn't have a Cream, that's probably who I would pick up. In terms of defense, I think it's one of the least important classes in the game, and wouldn't stress if you don't have a defense, though I do think Sally is one of the best characters in the game, as she can protect others with a shield that can protect them from taking a hit. Overall, I'd say that your ideal squad consists of just a few stunners, a healer, and some defense. Editor note from editor Dream Shakes here as well. I wanted to mention that you should probably have a Rouge on your team as well if you have the space for it. If you have a 6-man squad, I would pick her up, but other than that, I wouldn't. I think recon is important, but not as important as some other stuff. Mobility isn't that important of a stat in my opinion. Sometimes it can be used to help heal others, but generally it's just for getting away, and unless you want a solo survival, you should probably be playing a character that can help the team in some way. Now, Sonic.exe. Sonic.exe is a very unique character, and you're going to have to be careful if you're a survivor playing against him. Know that Sonic.exe is super fast, and he can cover the map much faster than you can. The only way you're getting away from him is if you have mobility abilities, you juke him out, or you stun him and find enough time to get to a bouncer, in which he's still probably going to chase you. The best thing to do is not separate and get panicked, but to stick close to each other, but not too close. If you get too close as a squad, he could quickly go on a rampage and just murder everyone. But a squad that sticks together and can use their abilities to stun Sonic.exe for periods of time can be very great, as they just keep helping each other out. But don't stay too close. Stay close together, but not too close. Another important note for Sonic.exe is that he has the invisibility perk. The invisibility allows him to go invisible, see the locations of all survivors, and track them down. This is why it doesn't make much sense to go off on your own either, as he's going to be able to track you down anyways. There's no hiding from this man. As he's invisible, he can quickly go uninvis and come to attack you, but there is a bit of a cooldown on his attack once he goes uninvis, so just be aware of that he can't hit you as soon as he uninvises unless he's lagged. Yeah, be aware of that as well. There's a lot of laggy people and laggy Sonics, and you may just get hit when you least expect it, so always be on the lookout. Always be aware of your surroundings. You never know where he's at, and you can't always hear him either. Another thing that Sonic.exe can do while he's invis is release decoys that will come at you and attack you. It's important that you notice these decoys' movement, as they will be much different than Sonic's, slowly moving around and attempting to attack you. But beware that you don't get caught by Sonic. He's still able to uninvis quickly, and you might just not recognize the difference. The best thing I'd recommend to do to point this out is to look for one that's moving particularly faster than the others. Decoys will follow a very specific set speed and attacking pattern, while Sonic.exe will quickly run at you and be trying to attack you, so be aware of this. The other ability Sonic.exe has is the grab. The grab will do certain things based on certain characters. If you're Shadow, Knuckles, or Eggman, you actually have access to a special perk known as Nerves of Steel. This is known as a passive perk, which is something that can occur in certain scenarios, but requires that scenario to play out. If Knuckles, Eggman, or Shadow get grabbed, they end up going into a state of Nerves of Steel. In this state, they have to quickly press a button that will allow them to pick themselves back up, and they will be on their way. But be careful that you do this, otherwise you will bleed out. This ability is specific to these three characters, and I wouldn't even recommend trying it as Sonic.exe, as they will probably just pick themselves up quickly. If you're any of the other characters, you have the risk of just being grabbed. As you're grabbed, Sonic.exe can quickly attack you, draining your health, and you will slowly be choked to death. This can straight up kill you if your teammates don't come back for you, as you will slowly drain more and more HP as you're being choked. Your teammates are revealed to you as soon as you are grabbed and go into your state of dying. Once this has happened, your teammates can come find you and revive you, but they can also stun Sonic.exe, so be aware of that in case they do stun him. He's limited to very short movement, but can still get on bouncers when he's grabbing you, so just be aware of that. Speaking of which, we need to talk about the dying state in Sonic.exe. After absorbing 2 hits, typically at least, your character will begin to crawl and will start to lose HP slowly. As you're crawling, you will have a blood meter. You have to keep this up by moving around and getting to teammates, which you should be doing anyways. I would move in the general direction of teammates, just hoping to get them to revive you more quickly, as it doesn't really matter if you just crawl and give away their location anyways, because Sonic.exe can still go invis and see them easily. So I would recommend quickly going and trying to get to your teammates, and also keep that blood meter up, or else you will instantly bleed out and you won't get a second chance. As for Sonic.exe, that's about all, other than the fact that he can climb. Yes, he can climb areas that you can't. Yes, you can get there your own way, but he has the ability to just straight up climb it. It's very important you stay aware of your surroundings for these shortcuts, as you can't see them, but he can. Sonic.exe has specific points in which he can crawl up and find you and quickly kill you, so always be on high alert for that as well. That's pretty much Sonic.exe for you. So let's get on to maps. Maps are an important thing that you're going to need to know about, as it just might save your life, and it's going to be crucial in a lot of scenarios. I recommend learning and developing your knowledge of maps as soon as possible, as it's crucial to almost any team. The reason for this is that bouncers are your main way of getting around Sonic.exe when your abilities have run out. You will see bouncers all around the map, and they propel your character up high, getting them to certain areas they wouldn't be able to otherwise. Using these bouncers, you can quickly move around, and Sonic.exe's bouncers recharge quicker than yours, so do keep that in mind. Though these bouncers are nice, and when a character such as Tails that has glide jumps up on one of them, he can actually propel himself and glide away. It's important you use these bouncers to your advantage, as they're going to be your main way of juking Sonic.exe and your main way of getting around as well. I recommend you get to learning them as quickly as possible, especially if you're going to be playing Rouge. The other thing with maps is you're going to need to develop your knowledge of what's jumpable and what's not jumpable. That sounds really weird. I'm going to change the term for that. You need to develop your knowledge of where you can make and where you can't make. There's a lot of shortcuts in maps if you didn't know, such as certain corners and other parts. These things allow you to quickly get around, as well as hopefully shake Sonic.exe. Perhaps he doesn't make the shortcut and you make some time on him, which you need just about every bit you can get when you're running from a super fast hedgehog. Each map has its own unique music, which has some absolute bangers, as well as different places and spots that people like to meet at. I would like to discuss a few hot spots for maps that you're probably going to see. So in terms of hot spots, you'll find a general theme that getting to high ground is probably where you need to go. In Hill, there's not super general of a meeting spot, but most people like to get up if possible, and there's this one little area that people generally like to go to do it. Generally, I just recommend staying in the high ground, but you can see that there's this little meeting spot that people generally go to. In hide and seek, you'll find that this little area where all these logs connect and build this little island is probably where you'll find people, but you can also find them up on this little area. The meeting spots have become a bit different since the update of 1.0, but you'll see things here and there, and you'll develop patterns of where people go anyways. but this is probably one of the spots you're going to see people at. With Hide and Seek Act 2, there's not really any main meeting spot, but there is several areas on the high ground, as this is a map that develops it a lot, so just always be on the lookout for other players, as they will likely be up there with you. And I mean, there's no real meeting spot, but as long as you're up, you'll probably be fine. With You Can't Run, there is one main meeting spot, and that is this big area up top. People love this little area. I don't know why, but you'll see them there every time. If you want some friends, that's where you need to go. With ... there's this little area that people sometimes like to meet in, but generally you're probably going to find people scattered all over ... as no one really goes to a specific spot on this map other than sort of the middle left or just straight middle. Kind and Fair doesn't seem to have a designated meeting spot, as people have just kind of switched away since it got updated, and people don't really know where to go as trends have just kind of been broken. So you can just be about anywhere on this map probably and you'll be fine, but do look for people. They'll probably be near the welcome sign. So you may be wondering, why is the high ground where people like to go? Well, this is a pretty simple answer. In terms of the high ground, it's the easiest place for Sonic.exe to fall off of, and if you fall off, you can just get away pretty easily, so it doesn't really matter. In terms of certain characters, it's also useful for mobility. You know, those characters like Tails and Eggman and Shadow that can get to certain places they wouldn't otherwise be able to when they're at the high ground. On top of all this, it's probably going to take Sonic.exe the longest to get up to places that are high ground, so it just overall helps the team. I would recommend getting to high ground if you can't, and if you do find a teammate on the ground, of course go for them, but always be aware of where your other teammates are at and aware of where Sonic.exe is at. Next, I would like to talk about what happens when you get in a chase or when you get killed flat out. So one of the things you'll notice in a chase is that Sonic.exe will quickly run at you and likely swing a couple times before he hits you, unless you run in a straight line. One of the best things I can recommend for new players is do not run in a straight line. This makes you super susceptible to hits. You never know when Sonic.exe is going to hit you because he's just so fast, and the game is laggy sometimes because different people's internets, and sometimes you'll go up a bouncer just to get knocked. So just be aware of that as well. After you suffer a first hit, you'll have your screen go all glitchy like and hear some chase music to know that he is in fact still likely following you, but check back just to make sure, as this will still happen just when he's nearby. When you get away from Sonic.exe, the chase music will stop and it won't re-ensue, so just be consciously aware of that and always be on the lookout for Sonic, looking for where he's at the moment or who he's chasing. If you actually get unlucky enough to get killed after 3 or 2 hits, just depends on how he knocks you, you will have the chance to turn to a minion. Well, it's actually your choice. Technically, you can choose not to continue and just end up sitting there, but most people prefer to become EXEs. As an EXE, you'll be faster and have the ability to go attack other survivors that just may not have revived you if you want your revenge. That's about it though for running from Sonic.exe and becoming a minion, as it's pretty simple when it comes to death in this game. When you become the solo survivor, you'll start to hear this music that sounds like something straight out of Across the Spider-Verse. So as soon as you hear this, know that you are the sole survivor, and if there's probably more than 20 seconds left till the exits open, I'd say you're likely screwed. So just be ready if you hear that. I mean, you're probably out of luck, but maybe you're good enough at juking. You'll just have to see. The last thing I want to talk about is toxicity and guidelines. Overall, being toxic is not going to do you any good. If your teammates have already escaped and you're the one sitting around messing with Sonic at the end of the game, just jump in the ring. We all have stuff to do. We all want to play the game. Please just jump in the ring. And as Sonic.exe, don't camp a survivor. You're wasting time. They don't lose HP and bleed out while they're on the ground and you're camping them, and you're wasting time that you could be chasing survivors with, so just go ahead and do that. And lastly, please do not roleplay in this game. Outlook has made a Sonic.exe roleplay for that exact reason, and people still choose to sit there and roleplay in Sonic.exe The Disaster, so please, don't be that person that roleplays in The Disaster. Overall, I hope this guide helped you, but you're just going to have to play the game and learn for yourself, as the main way you're going to get better is just playing, obviously. There's so many different teams with so many different characters and so many different places and outcomes that you're just going to have to sit there and try it for yourself. I hope this did help you though. If there's any general tips I missed, please feel free to leave those in the comments, and hopefully I can, relay that in some way. If you would like to see a series where I go over how to play characters more in depth, please leave a comment on that as well, as I would like to get you to know the characters better in how to play them exactly, because obviously this is general tips. You're not going to get a whole character guide from me on this video, but I do plan to make something of the such in the future, and I hope you guys do want to see that. Overall, I hope you've developed your understanding and gameplay of Sonic.exe, and I hope that you did enjoy this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.